Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth. It's Thursday, June 23rd. Hope you're doing awesome out there today. Going to get started with today's live stream. Going to do an MJ stock market update and ask me anything. I've been away for the last few days, been traveling in the mountains, and my parents were here from the East Coast visiting in Alberta. But back in my regular setup, going to get started in about 30 to 60 seconds. We'll give it another minute or so for people to join us. So just sit tight and we'll get started with today's live stream momentarily. I see we have some people joining the stream, so welcome. Thanks for joining us. Hello, hello. Hope everyone's doing awesome out there today. Going to get started in about 30 seconds. If you are joining the stream, if you could smash the like, it helps support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. And tick the bell, subscribe. You'll be notified on any future updates. Going to get started in about 30 seconds. I see we have quite a few people joining the live stream now. Welcome to the live stream. I appreciate you tuning in for today's update on the MJ market. Going to do an Ask Me Anything as well. And thanks so much. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Hello. My brother, right back at you. Thanks for the comments, guys. And yeah, I did have a great time with my parents. It was fantastic. I mentioned it earlier about a minute ago that my parents were here from the East Coast visiting, so I didn't get as many videos out, but wanted to come on, do a live stream. Heads up, this video may be a little bit longer today, but again, want to come on, and I know a lot of people were asking me questions, so it's just easier to come on and do a video in these live streams and kind of get it all done at once. But before we jump into today's content, if you could smash the like, help support me in the channel. You can subscribe and tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future posts or videos or live streams. And in today's content, we're going to be discussing some big news with regards to safe banking, and we're also going to do an Ask Me Anything, so we'll do that at the end. So if anybody has any questions whatsoever, you can just type them into the chat if you want me to take a look at a ticker, or if you have any questions about a specific company in the MJ space. Going to try to keep it MJ related though, for the sake of time and this video, and also we'll do a quick update on the market and what my thoughts and opinions are. So jumping into today's content, we'll do the news. We'll go over some news that happened today. So there was some big news with regards to safe banking and uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ. So MJ businesses could be listed on stock exchanges and access financial services under a new bipartisan bill. And as you know, it's very hard to get anything bipartisan these days. And this news came out just shortly after SAFE was stripped from the previous bill and new MJ banking measure introduced. So a lot of people this morning were bearish, thinking that it was stripped from the manufacturing bill, and then a couple hours later or a couple minutes later, this came out. This news broke, and we'll just go through this here real quickly here. So this was filed on Thursday. The Capital Lending and Investment for MJ Businesses, so CLIMB Act, is being sponsored by Reps Troy Carter and Guy Reschenthaler. Got it. I think that's it. Yeah, I have no idea. While a main thrust of legislation is to free up MJ industry access to financial lending and investment opportunities, in part by providing protections for private financial institutions and government agencies that provide such services to traditional markets, it would help provide a safe harbor for national security exchanges and market participants. It just basically goes on to say that MJ businesses would be permitted to list on major stock exchanges like the NASDAQ and the NYSE. And something I've been saying for months now has been that we're likely going to see a sector-wide catalyst that's going to lift us out of this rut that we're in. We need something sector-wide, and that next catalyst, in my opinion, is going to be safe banking, so uplisting to the NASDAQ and the NYSE and U.S. major exchanges. And once that happens, that's going to position our friends on Wall Street, right? We got to have the financial institutions, the hedge funds, and the bankers positioned right before full-blown legalization, because they have to get positioned. We also had Tilray skyrocketing today, about 11.5%, 12%. And again, when we see news like this that's related to the whole sector, we'll usually see the LPs shoot up more, and usually first, because they are listed on the NYSE and the NASDAQ, where large capital is already playing, right? And a lot of brokers right now are restricting purchases of MSOs. So that's really hurting MSOs as well. We were talking about that today in POW Group, how the LPs look to be forming a little bit more of a base here of support. And MSOs, I know TrueLeave has a weekly bear flag and GTII has a daily bear flag, which insinuates a little bit more downside and another potential leg down. And that makes sense, right? Because a lot of our LPs are down 80, 90% plus. And we know that some of our strongest US MSOs are just down about 70%, right? Almost 80%. So it would make sense that they're just playing catch up. And that's why I think that we're seeing US MJ a little bit weaker. And also keep in mind that major brokerages are not allowing specific purchases of MSOs, right? So that's really helping, really hurting the MSOs. And we really need this to go through. But again, I think that before we see full-blown legalization in the US, we're going to see safe banking and uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ. And that is so that big money, smart money, hedge funds, and the bankers, financial institutions, they can get positioned ahead of full-blown legalization, right? Just only makes sense. Unfortunately, I don't like it any more than you do, but that's just the way it goes. But again, you can check out these articles in its entirety. I'm not going to go over it in effort of time, but essentially stripped out of the old bill, put into a new measure, and this is bipartisan. So that was filed today on Thursday, and we know that Chuck Schumer is potentially coming out with a new bill as well for full-blown legalization, expungement, all that stuff, potentially in the first week of August. So expect that into August. We know that New York is starting rec sales into the fall as well, which should be huge for the market. We know that Switzerland is also set to launch regulated medical MJ market. And what else is happening? Germany could potentially legalize into the fall. We could see safe banking. So we got a perfect storm here brewing, and all systems looking like it's pointing to a lot more upside. And I think we're going to see a massive rally into the fall. Keep in mind, MJ typically usually sees a summer lull, meaning a drop off in activity. So just keep in mind that we could potentially see a little bit of a downtime into July. And then I think it starts to pick back up into August and into the fall with everything all those catalysts that I just mentioned. Something to keep in mind as well is the broader market, right? If SPY sees a massive leg down and continues its bear market, and the broader market, S&P 500, tech sector, that's going to really weigh. It's going to be headwinds, right? We want all systems go, but it looks like S&P 500 could be potentially nearing a temporary bottom and at least a weekly and monthly lower high going to form. I also did a product review on the Redican CCK Redis Plus. So those are the infused pre-rolls at 25%. Those are great. I didn't do it on video just because my video gets blocked and then YouTube doesn't recommend it in any searches or anything like that. And you have to be signed into an account and be 18 and plus and over. And anyway, it just creates a lot of friction. And people want to view it, and they're like, oh, I don't have a YouTube account, and I can't watch it unless I sign in. So I reviewed them later on after the video, and then in the video, if you just scroll down, I pinned it to the top here. So I just finished. They didn't disappoint, unbeatable quality, and smoke lights perfectly and easily in a split second. Never have to relight it. Super potent, tastes amazing. I only smoked half, put the rest out, feeling the effects within a couple of minutes. Perfect 10 out of 10. By far the best product and market on the market, hands down. But again, we might, and I had some technical difficulties here. When you do the live stream, it doesn't do the landscape apparently, but hopefully that's something YouTube fixes eventually. But you can go check that out. Essentially, it's the gold tips. Man, those were super sexy. They are super sexy. And like I said, really, really enjoyed the overall experience with those. But let me know if you tried those in the comments below. But I encourage you to go check that out and review that. Maybe sometime in the near future with safe banking, ending the stigma, and then potential for full-blown legalization. Maybe at some point in 2023, 24, maybe it goes to 2025. But I think it's a good chance that we're going to see full-blown legalization in the U.S. some point next year or in 2024. That's what I'm expecting, and I'll keep everybody posted on my thoughts and opinions. But everything that I'm seeing right now is pointing to that being the case. We know, Germany and New York and more states, right, just keep coming online. And it's just an inevitability, in my opinion. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, not if. And like I said, if you want to go check that out, I didn't get to, maybe sometime soon I'll be able to review the products, and I'll get back to, I can do it on screen. I did before, but again, it doesn't really help everybody, and it gets the video to more people. But again, maybe when the US legalizes because of the harsh rules that YouTube follows, it'll just be like drinking a beer. So hopefully that's not too far around the corner. Also, Canada's adult use MJ sales rebounded to a record of 372 million in April. We know that Hi-Fire and BNN Bloomberg posted data about that. If you go to the POW Group community, click on the community tab, I posted the results for April, and that was as per Hi-Fire and BNN Bloomberg confirmed it. And you can see here Hexo led the way. And I also heard that May, Hexo has a pretty good foothold, and they've seen a huge uptick in pre-rolls. And that would make sense with the launch of all their new strains. They even have the new Hexo Blue Tips with Gelato and Ultra Sour, and now the Redican Plus with the Gold Tips. So going to be an interesting month of May and into June. Definitely the best product in the market that I've seen so far. Huge props for Redican Reddies Plus. Cold Creek Kush. Major League Baseball also to allow CBD sponsorships. So this is great overall, what we want to see, right? We have tons of bullish news in the market. We're just not seeing it, right? Fundamentals do not matter in a bear market. I was saying that today for private POW Group members on a private live stream, that it doesn't matter how good your company's numbers are. It doesn't matter if one individual company has news. The overall trend is down in the bear market right now, and that supersedes everything, right? Even companies like Cannara Biotech, High Tide, and Trulieve, and Green Thumb, they all have fantastic numbers, fantastic fundamentals, but it's superseded by the brutal bear market that we're in at the moment, and nothing is being spared. Also, Aurora MJ cutting 12% of its workforce in quote-unquote reorganization, which has been happening for a long time. We know that they're pivoting towards a more medical approach. So not surprising. Also, another negative news, Oxley was getting it on the chin today, just taking it on the chin, just absolutely slammed today, down, I think it was like 12%. Let's take a quick peek here. Tilray was the lead bull, but yeah, down almost 14% on Oxley. This came after they extended the standby facility convertible debentures to August 15th, 2024. So extended that maturity date. Market really didn't like that. But we'll look at the movers and shakers on the day today. So on the bear list, as I mentioned, is Oxley, Huge, and then DB, Decibel MJ. And if we take a look at the bull list, we've got PCLO, TLRY, and VLNS. TLRY confirmed a daily uptrend here with a low, high, higher low, and higher high. So this is what we want to see. And then we zoom out to the weekly. When we confirm a daily uptrend, that means zoom out to the weekly and watch for the weekly bounce to get underway. So Tilray broke the high of last week at $3.33, meaning that means that the weekly bounce is underway. Now we look for a lower high compared to $5.17. We do have EMA 12 there at $4.52, so those are the resistance to be watching. But essentially what we're gonna look for now is the bounce to top out on the weekly, form a weekly higher low, and then a weekly higher high, just like we just did on the daily time frame, and then we'll be in a weekly uptrend. So now we have the low, high, higher low, higher high in the daily uptrend confirmed. We zoom out to the weekly. Weekly bounce is underway. Now we watch for the weekly bounce to top out, form a higher low, higher high. What do we need to do after that? Zoom out to the monthly, watch for the monthly bounce to get started. How do we know the monthly bounce starts? When we break the high of the previous monthly candle, so $5.40 at the moment. Keep in mind there's only 7 days left and a weekend coming up, and monthly candle's going to close soon, so it sets it up for a potential monthly bounce next month, in my opinion, on Tilray. But again, Tilray showing a little bit more signs of a base of support and bottoming out. And like I said, when we see this huge news in regards to the sector, watch for LPs to move first, right? Because big money, institutional money, is already accessed through the NYSE and the NASDAQ on these LPs, right? So usually we see big money start to slosh around, and we closed at the high of the day today on Tilray, and we have EMA 26 rather, at the white line there at $3.89. Next resistance on the price action on the daily is $4.11, and we closed at the high of the day. So it's entirely possible that we even gap up tomorrow and then pull back. If we look at the hourly chart, we haven't consolidated since really, I wouldn't even consider that much of a higher low. We don't have any hourly support down to $3.15. So if you're looking for an entry on this one, I added it a couple of days ago, or maybe it was last week now, I can't remember, but I added quite a bit of Tilray to my I did a video as well. You can check it out. Just go to my my YouTube channel and click on videos. And I said fears. I bought other Sphere. What MJ stocks did I buy? So you can check that video out. But I added Tilray, one of my names that I added. Taking a look at USMJ. On the bear list, we have Body and Mind, TAUG, and LOWL. On the bull list, we've got TAT, Ian, and GRWG TAT. Seeing a huge weekly bounce. Tons of room for a weekly higher low now, but up 70% in a week. and lots of bull volume. Went from daily oversold to daily overbought in about 5 days. So starting to see some signs of life in the market. If we take a look at MSOS, the ETF that tracks all the major US companies, we have basically no resistance here up until about $14 on the weekly time frame. And we've got these lower wicks forming on the weekly. We're starting to trend higher on the RSI here, which is good to see, but we're back into weekly oversold territory. This is daily oversold. So on the weekly time frame, it was a weekly bear flag that was confirming as well. So we have the bear flag target. I'll just do a quick target here for everybody. You're looking at about a target of $10 here on this weekly bear flag. But still weekly oversold, still daily oversold, and nowhere near monthly oversold at the moment. So again, MSOs have been a little bit weaker, just catching up to the rest of the MJ market. And something I'll point out as well before we get into some questions and ask me anything, monthly EMA 12 and 26 bear cross already occurred on TrueLeaf. It hasn't occurred yet on the S&P 500 and a lot of our tech names, which means we could see more downside in the broader market. So if we haven't really bottomed out in the broader market and we're just correlated right now at USMJ to the broader market, then one could expect a little bit more downside. And then if we look at the weekly time frame, it's a weekly bear flag as well. And if we take a look at the measured move here from the weekly bear flag, it takes us down to around $13. So again, I think that we could potentially see another leg down. We did confirm the bear flag. We needed to lose 1635 support, and we hit 1590 today. So we did confirm the weekly bear flag today, but we need to see more follow through. If you're looking for an entry on this one, a potential swing, not a bad idea to enter with a stop below the low of today. So you could set a stop below $15.90, look for a potential swing. Personally, if you're looking for a long-term investment though, and a long-term hold, I don't own any TrueLeaf at the moment, full disclosure. I own it through MSOS, the ETF, but I'm going to be just learning what I've learned through crypto and MJ over the last 5 years is to be patient, and it can always go lower than you think. And just like most other MJ down 80-90%, TrueLeaf's only down about 77%, I think it was, from its 2021 highs. So it can absolutely go down 80 or 85%, right? And that would bring us down to about $10, all the way down to $8, which is their low from C19 in March 2020. So I'm going to be a buyer around that $13 area. I'll start to scale into TrueLeaf, but I'm not going to be going heavy on this one. I went heavy on MSOS. I just think that the US MJ stocks are going to be really tested over the next couple of years because we're going to have tons of competition, not just from LPs. We know Canopy and Tilray are going to buy Acreage and MedMen upon full-blown legalization, and safe banking would also potentially help that happen as well. And if that does happen, we could see LPs become MSOs. That's competition for MSOs. Not only that, there's tons of competition just from MSOs and other MSOs, right? And then we're going to get into price reductions and price wars, just like we're seeing in MJ. You can't be charging $20 a gram forever. It's just not sustainable. So I think there's a lot of bullish reasons to be bullish on USMJ, obviously, but there's also some concerns as well. And I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to be hit with a lot of capex requirements as well, capital expenditures, once they start to expand upon full-blown legalization into all the 50 plus states, right? And then you got to factor in maybe international expansion as well, right? So again, I have more money into LPs dollar-wise, but I own more MSOs than I do LPs, if that makes any sense, licensed producers. But I also own retailers. I also own ETFs, right? So I've got a multitude. I've seen a couple people today, just saying, oh, how's Hexo doing now? Blah, blah, blah. Well, again, like we shouldn't be tribalism. We shouldn't be tribalistic. We should drop the tribalism. We shouldn't wish anybody to do, bad in their investments. All MJ's down. You can't just point the finger at one name and say, oh, how's that doing, right? It's all of MJ. And when people even say that, I kind of just don't even respond to them anymore, because if you don't know that one stock is down 80%, 90%, and so is the rest of the sector, and you're going to, make fun of somebody because they picked one MJ stock that's down 80%, you're not worth my time. And you clearly don't understand how markets work, right? If the whole sector is down 80 to 90%, well, you can't really just blame one company. Some companies might be doing worse than others. That's true. But there's going to be winners and losers, like I've said I don't even know. It's been years now that I've said this. It's going to be it would be naive to say there isn't going to be winners in both Canadian and American MJ. There's going to be winners and losers both sides of the border. There's going to be winners and losers across the pond over in the EU and other markets as well, right? Other continents. So we can't, we have to drop the tribalistic nature, and I want all MJ to do well, right? And then something I'm looking at here as well on GTII is there's another bear flag on GTII. On the daily time frame, you can see here anything under 1247 was a potential daily bear flag, and we're confirming that with a break of that support there at 1120. So we're losing that support. If we take the measured move, you just go from the high to the low, move that over to the 0.32 fib, and a target of about $9.59 on GTII. So it is looking like we could see one more leg down on US MJ, and then just getting caught up to the rest of MJ, right? Because if we take a look at GTII, and you know, I know a lot of people today are just confused and they're getting investor fatigue, but they're like, why is Tilray up, 12% on US MJ uplisting news? And why is truly even GTII down 2 and 4%? People are losing their ever-loving minds, right? This makes no sense. It's MJ's in the US that's uplisting, right? Why is Canadian MJ doing well? It's because they're on US major exchanges like the NYSE and the NASDAQ already, right? So we usually see LPs move first because institutional money knows before the masses, and that's where that 10-12% came from today on Tilray, was from institutions for sure. But if we take a look at Green Thumb, down about, whoops, that was the wrong tool. If we take a look at Green Thumb, we're down about 79%. So again, Tilray from its high in February 2021 at $67 dropped all the way to $3, right? That's 95%. So if Green Thumb isn't even down 80% yet, does that mean that Green Thumb and True Leaf could drop down? Could they be down 80 to 90%? Absolutely, that could be the case. And what would that mean if we were to drop 85%? 85% would mean that we'd be at a $7 Green Thumb price. And if we drop 90%, that means we'd be at around a $5 GTII price, right? Which isn't out of the realm of possibility. We were at $5 in the March 2020 lows. And again, if the broader market, S&P 500, sees another leg down, and we keep seeing interest rates rise and the overall market sentiment and being risk off, it's entirely possible we see another leg down. And like I said, True Leaf not looking great. Again, I want all MJ to do well. I own both MSOs and LPs. I own retailers. I own ETFs. But I'm just telling you what the charts are saying, and it's saying right now that US MJ is definitely more bearish in the short term, at least. And you can see here we're still bearish. Haven't seen a bull cross in the MACD or the stochastic. Still well below the 10-week moving average. So let's bring up the HMMJ ETF and compare the two. So here you can see we're much closer to a bull cross on the MACD, and the weekly bounce is starting on HMMJ, meaning we're breaking last week's high. And if you take a look at MSOS is losing last week's low, so a new lower low, nowhere near starting the weekly bounce. So that's how we know that USMJ is a lot weaker right now. And then just looking at Tilray, up over 11.5% today at the end of the close. And it looks like we could still see more upside. And look at that volume, increasing bull volume. We want to see increasing bull volume tomorrow as well. But just keep in mind that we're likely due for some hourly consolidation. But that's pretty much all I had to say at the moment, I believe. See if there's anything else I forgot. We'll take a quick look at SPY as well. So SPY, again, 7 days left in this monthly candle. And we've got a bit of a lower wick forming here, which is good to see. We want to see as big of a lower wick as possible. And then that will mean that we potentially could be due for a weekly lower high and a monthly lower high. We do have resistance here on SPY at 415.64. Keep in mind the dividend was just paid out, so the numbers have changed. If you want to chart SPX, can't speak. Then that factors in. That doesn't factor in the dividend, so that'll give you some more accurate levels. That's why the levels and the resistance levels have changed, and key levels have changed, because that dividend was just issued here a couple of days ago. And going to be watching if we break yesterday's high or today's high tomorrow. We'll be watching for resistance at 382.25 on SPY. And then a potential gap fill here at 388 and another gap fill there at 399. So if we do break this high here at 382.25, expect a pretty big move up to around 388 and potentially all the way up to 400 if we fill those gaps. Usually all gaps get filled in time. And that would mean that from current levels, that would be another 3 to 6% move on the S&P 500. What's the rule of thumb? When SPY is up, 1 or 2%, generally MJ stocks, or each individual stock, doesn't have to be MJ, individual stocks are usually up 3 or 4 times as much. Or as SPY's down 1%, usually individual stocks are down 3 or 4%, right? So it's usually 3 or 4 times the amount. And that's because this is an index that tracks the 500 biggest companies in the world. So if it's down 1%, one would think that the average individual stock would be down 3 or 4%, right? So we want to see tailwinds instead of headwinds. We want to see the broader market confirm that it's back into bullish territory. We still got a lot of work to do, though. We're still in a weekly downtrend, and we're still in a monthly downtrend on the S&P 500. And bears are in full control at the moment. We confirmed a monthly downtrend on the S&P 500 for the first time in 14 years since 2008. And we're not out of the woods yet, right? So we're watching this correlation to the broader market as well, but great to see that SPY was up 1% and Tilray on the bull list today. We had all of our tier 1s, right? So this is why I'm not really focusing on the tier 2 or tier 3 names either, is because when you have tier 1 names that, are billions of dollars in market cap, you want to, in my opinion, you want to focus on those because there's so many good deals. And then the money usually starts with the number 1 large caps and the number 1s, right? The tier 1s. And that was evident today. We had bullish news with regards to bipartisan support for safe banking and uplisting, and Tilray was up 11.5%, right? Again, it's been beaten down just like the rest of MJ. And usually when we see a sector reversal or some sector-wide bullish catalyst news, then it's usually names like Tilray and CGC that run first, right? The ones with the liquidity and the ones with the most dollar volume. But that's pretty much all I wanted to say. And so, like I said, watch for once we see, big moves in LPs and the tier 1s, watch for some of those profits to trickle down into tier 2s and tier 3s, right? But going to jump into the chat here. Yeah, thank you very much. I really enjoyed the visit from the parents. They just left this morning. Gonna miss them, but I should be home in the East Coast at some point in the next couple months for my grandmother's birthday and some relatives coming from Ontario as well. So hopefully won't be as long this time before I see them. It was about 6 months. Smash the like. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it helps support me in the channel and helps get this content out to as many people as possible, so I appreciate it. Thanks for doing this. You bet. Verano was a roller coaster today. Yeah, US MJ just getting it on the chin. And I know a lot of people sold their... I see a lot of people capitulating with Canadian MJ and going into US MJ. While that's not a bad strategy, I personally think it's wise to own both. I'm not telling you what to do, buy, sell, or hold. This is not financial advice. It's for entertainment purposes only. But what I'm doing is I'm owning both. I own MSOs, I own LPs, so I own both American and Canadian MJ stocks. And I have more money dollar-wise into LPs, so Canadian MJ. But I own more US MJ stocks, if that makes sense. But I'm bullish on both. I own retailers as well, like High Tide. And I own ETFs as well, just to de-risk a little bit. But I'm just dollar cost averaging. Right now, I'm focusing on Tilray and MSOS ETF to add to those positions. I had a really big position on Tilray around $3.15 and looking for that daily trend change and higher low. And I mean, realistically, we have the all-time low at like $2.40. So how much lower are we really going to get? We got as low as $3. So I added that one. And from my entry there, it's already up over 10%. So that's... did I catch the bottom? Probably not. Will it go lower? I bought. Am I expecting it to go lower? Probably, right? I'm not trying to nail the bottom. I'm just buying near the bottom. And as long as you're buying near a bottom and you have a long-term horizon and you're not putting in your rent money or money that you can't afford to lose or let sit, then you should be fine, right? And I'm not trying to time the market, because the second you try to time the market, that's when things start to go against you, right? And if you held this long, in my opinion, and in my case, if I had held this long, there's no way I'm going to sell now, right? I'll either ride it to... I'm so confident in my investments, I'll either ride them to zero. I didn't invest any more than I was willing to lose. I don't think they're going to go to zero, but I will just sit and hold, or I'll continue to buy more for every 10 or 20% that we drop, right? But yeah, Verano, let's take a look at the chart here. It did close the day green though. But yeah, huge lower wick, so big bounce there. We started daily consolidation again today. So this is the third day in a row where we lost the low of the previous candle. So 3 days of daily consolidation. We hit a low there today of $8.15. So that's support to be watching now. And then big bounce right into the end of the day, about 10%. So that's great to see. But we're still in a daily downtrend with a lower high and lower low. And then zoom out to the weekly. We're in a weekly downtrend with a weekly lower high and lower low. It's actually a weekly bear flag by the looks of it. Just like Truly, if you could say we bounced a little bit too much, though, to consider that a weekly bear flag, but we are losing the low here. So we dropped to a new weekly lower low. So weekly downtrend still intact. We're in a monthly downtrend with lower highs and lower lows. We do have earnings coming up in second week of August. So that's something to be aware of as well. Always a gamble going into that. But yeah, we're still in a daily downtrend, weekly downtrend, monthly downtrend. So there's tons of work to do here. But in my opinion, this is a great long-term hold and pick up at these levels. Again, not financial advice. Do your own research. Don't just buy something because somebody else tells you to buy it. And don't just buy it because of numbers either, right? You have to actually do some research, right? Do you like their brands? Do you like their products? What other markets are they focusing on? Do they have any kind of dilution coming up? Or, there's so much under the hood, right? What are their products like? What are people saying about their products? But I think this is a great company to pick up in the long term. But yeah, that's our new support to be watching is $8.15. Zooming out to the weekly time frame here, we don't have any. This is the all-time low, right? So we don't really have any price action to go off of. We're just looking at psychological supports from here. And again, if you're wondering why it's so bearish, it's because a lot of brokers are restricting access to purchasing MSOs. So a lot of people in the US just can't buy them anymore, right? Because their brokerages are not allowing them to do so. So once this safe banking gets passed, we should see a pretty big run up into that, in my opinion, in both LPs and American MJ. But resistance to be watching is up at $9.61. We'll just take a quick peek at VRNO over here on the weekly chart, and we'll see what's going on in the macro level. So we do have a bull cross here on the stochastic and the MACD, but we failed to get over the 10-week moving average. So if we can close this week over 981, that 10-week moving average, we only got 1 day left in the week, so we need a pretty big bounce tomorrow to make that happen, but not completely impossible. Stranger things have happened. On the daily time frame, nowhere near a golden cross. And we're still rejecting at the 50-day moving average there at around 982. So watch for that area of resistance as well. Oh, looks like we got a spam bot in the chat. I think that's the first time that's ever happened on POW Group where we had a spam bot. I'll just delete those comments out of here. And again, if anybody has any questions, any other tickers that you'd like me to review, again, doing an Ask Me Anything. So just let me know, and we'll review those here in a moment after I go and kick this bot out of here. All right. All right, they have been banned. Is that the same user? Yep. No, that's the first time. First time, I'm surprised it actually took this long before we had some bots in the live chat. I see them all the time in the regular comments, but that was the first time I noticed them in a live chat. Thanks for the info. You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. Just going to remove these messages. Apparently, if you ban them from the channel, it doesn't actually remove their messages, which is a little odd. Yeah, YouTube needs to really step this up. Maybe they need Elon Musk to come in and buy YouTube too. Get rid of these spam bots. All right, I think I got rid of it. All right. MSOs continue to be down 5 to 7% and close flat. Yeah, so I just went over that. Nice bounce there into the end of the day on VRNO. Truly was still down 4% today, though. but it's the daily inside bar. We didn't lose yesterday's low, so VRNO a little bit weaker than TrueLeaf. In terms of the leaders, we'll take a look at GTII. Just barely lost yesterday's low by 2 pennies, but still hasn't started the daily bounce yet, but decent bounce, 5% bounce from the low there into the end of the day. TrueLeaf from the low of the day up about 3%. So Verano, it was beaten down more, so it had a bit of a bigger bounce, right? But almost 10% there off the low, from the low to the close. But yeah, we're seeing USMJ continuing to, it's just dollar volume, right? We're not seeing any dollar volume. Take a look at the volume here on TrueLeaf. The daily volume, so 251,000 shares were traded. So if we just say 1670 times 251,000 times, we'll say average price of around 16, we'll just do $17. That's only $4 million traded, right? But then if we go to a name like Tilray and we take a look at the volume today, 26.28 million shares were traded, right? So if we do 28.28 million times, we'll say just an average price of $3.50, that's $98 million were traded in Tilray today, right? So huge difference. And what does that tell you? That tells you that it wasn't retail, it was institutions. So institutions are buying MJ like Tilray because they can, right? It's the liquidity is there. They can buy tons of money, like millions of dollars, without moving the price too much. If they put that amount of money into a name like TrueLeaf, the stock price would skyrocket, right? And they don't want that. They want to play around in the big liquidity pools and get the most out of it, right? That's how they manipulated it as well. So that's why we recommend just watching LPs and the tier 1 LPs. Generally, when they start to move, you can watch for some sector-wide news, because that's generally what happens, right? Because that's where the big money plays. Until we see MSOs uplisted to the NYSE and the NASDAQ, that'll continue to be the case, right? And that's when I'm going to be focusing more on MSOs than LPs. But again, I own both. I hope they both do well. And I'm very bullish on USMJ. We haven't seen nothing yet. The floodgates haven't even opened yet. Big money hasn't even entered the space. So we're going to see a massive, massive bull market, I think, into the next couple of years. And I think the next bull market is going to be extremely long and epic. It's going to be, we've essentially just been downtrending for about 4 or 5 years now since the Canadian government legalized. And really, we had that huge explosion there in February into February 2021 there, about a year and a half ago, but nothing really sustained, right? We had a couple names hit new all-time highs, but we didn't see all MJ, north and south of the border and retailers and ETS, nowhere near hitting all-time highs, right? If we take a look at HMMJ, what I want to see in the next bull market is HMMJ set a new all-time high. So again, here in February 2020, we hit a high of 1979, but the all-time high was up at $27. So I think the next bull market, we're going to see HMMJ hit a new all-time high and blue sky breakout, new price discovery. I'll make the video if I'm wrong, but I'm quite confident of that based on all of the landscape and fundamental bullish catalysts and fundamentals that are lining up. Again, we know fundamentals don't really matter right now until the bear market is over. But once the bear market is over, we know there's a ton to be bullish about, right? And that's usually what happens. The longer the base, the higher in space. And the more we break down, like the greater the suppression, the greater the expansion, right? Good day, and thanks for the info. You're welcome. Thanks for joining the stream. What's happening? This is it. Having a blast. Hope all is well. You know what happening to the Zenabis thing? Yeah, so essentially Zenabis is a subsidiary of Hexo. Hexo reports Zenabis on its top and bottom line and quarterly results. Zenabis is no longer really needed because of the partnership with Tilray. Obviously, that wasn't forecasted when Zenabis was originally acquired by Hexo. So essentially, in my opinion, what happened is now that they have this deal with Tilray, they're going to be sourcing international products from Tilray, excluding Canada and US. So for US and Canada, Hexo is going to be sourcing its own products, right? It'll manufacture its own products and distribute its own products there. It'll be in full control of that. But in terms of international markets like the EU and beyond, Hexo is going to source its products from Tilray. So what was the crown jewel of Zenabis? It was Malta, the EU GMP certified facility there, which gave them access to Germany and the rest of the EU, and then also Atholville. But then they acquired Redecan, and now they got all these other facilities that they acquired from Redecan, and they're moving a lot of their production and equipment over to the Redecan facility in Ontario. So they closed Belleville, right? There's Truss is staying in the Belleville location. It's getting its own. It has its own license now, which it's going to operationalize next year. So at that point, Hexo will report on an equity basis, and we'll no longer see that on Hexo's financials. It'll be on, because Truss is an independent company, Truss Beverage Co. in Canada, and then there's also Truss CBD USA, which is another standalone private company in the U.S. that's gets reported on Molson Coors financials, right? Again, Hexo reports on an equity basis for that. So in short, Zenabis is no longer needed by Hexo in their international expansion plans. So what they're doing is they're doing a complete revamping of their business plan. They even established Hexo USA Inc. So they have a new entity called Hexo USA, and they're going to be redoing their business plan and focusing more on the U.S. market, specifically the hemp market, which is legal, until they await full-blown federal legalization, which I think is really smart. We know they already have the Truss Beverages, CBD USA, with the Verivel in 24 different states now. So they're already focused on the hemp market, and they're talking about adding edibles, which I think is their new Fortune 500 or Fortune 200 CPG partner. And we're going to see edibles and stuff like that. They said more than cookies, more than granola, is going to be other food products. I think it's going to be THC and CBD in Canada, and then we're going to see hemp CBD in the US through this new CPG partner. But essentially, Zenabis no longer needed, and what it means for Zenabis is they're filing for creditor protection, which just means bankruptcy, and they're going to be liquidating all of their assets. So essentially, the debt is forgotten, and we're even seeing Sundial potentially coming in to buy some of those assets. And we know Sundial was involved in Zenabis before and their debt, and they're all kind of interconnected, right? Sundial and Hexo and Zenabis have all been connected for quite a while, so it's not really surprising to see that. Again, though, they're just looking to liquidate their assets. Zenabis is going to potentially sell off all of its assets and then to the highest bidder, and then they'll file for creditor protection. And then no longer will Hexo be able to, like, Hexo keeps they don't keep and it'll cut costs as well, right? So Hexo won't have to worry about those facilities. They won't have to worry about the one in Malta and all that stuff. Maintaining that EU GMP certified facility, which is expensive. They can just source it from Tilray, which has EU GMP certified locations, and they're going to work together. They're also going to have cost savings there between the two LPs, about 80 million split 50-50. And they're going to be huge cost savings, right? And then they'll sell the assets to the highest bidder. But essentially, Hexo keeps the brands and the IP, right? The intellectual property and the brands, and they just essentially write that off, and it's no longer needed in their business, right? So hopefully that helps. But yeah, Zenabis, if it wasn't for this Tilray deal, I don't think that would have happened. But heart goes out to those that are affected in Atholville and Stellarton, all those facilities. Never want to see that, but they are looking to hire in other markets, in other regions as well. So you gotta take the good with the bad, right? We know Aurora cut 12% of its workforce in a reorganization move, and Tesla cut 10% of its workforce. We had tons of other huge companies and tech companies cutting their workforce as well, leading into this recession that we're potentially expecting into the next couple of quarters. Hopefully that explains it simply enough, but if you do have any other questions, just let me know. Hey, Rod, what's your thoughts on Kellogg news? I think one of the new companies are going to partner with Hexo. Yeah, I've been saying for a while that I think it's Kellogg's, and me speculating, of course, I don't know, but it makes sense, right? Because Kellogg's had a strike at the beginning of the year, and it lasted a few months, and we knew that the CPG partner was delayed, and that makes perfect sense as to why this was delayed. So not only did Kellogg's go through a strike, 3-month strike, it also went through a complete rebranding and reorganization itself, right? So it's splitting into 3 different entities: Snap, Crackle, Pop, and one being plant-based nutrition. There was talks about they were going to potentially maybe sell off that arm of their business, so we'll see. But it looks like that's definitely why the CPG partner got delayed. Everybody's like, why isn't Hexo, why are they lying? It's probably not even a thing anymore. Why isn't Hexo just releasing it already? Well, they're under an NDA. It means non-disclosure agreement, so they can't say anything until Kellogg's or the new CPG partner, whoever it is, releases a press release. So until the CPG partner says, hey, we partnered with Hexo, Hexo can't say anything about who it is or when products are going to be available or what products are going to be available, right? They can only give timelines or something like that. They can't say who it is. So I think that makes perfect sense. Everybody's saying, why is this taking so long? Well, it's actually not really taking that long, because if you look at Molson Coors, when they partnered with Hexo, it took about 2 to 3 years before the announcement of the partnership, and then the manufacturing, the production, and the distribution, and the products to actually hit the shelf. It took about 2 to 3 years from the announcement of their partnership. How long has it been since the announcement of their CPG partner? It's been a couple years, right? Not even yet. So again, it's right on track with what Molson Coors was like. But again, people are just very impatient. They want to know things 10 weeks out, not 10 years, or they want to know 10 days, not 10 weeks, right? They want things in shorter term time frames, but that's just not how business works, right? And then looking under the hood, Kellogg's had to go through a whole strike for 3 months. And then, Kellogg's is breaking into 3 different companies. Might that have set back the CPG partner news, right? Pretty good chance, right? So I think that it is still Kellogg's. And them focusing on plant-based nutrition is, MJ's a plant, right? So lines up with their new business model and strategy. Thanks again, Rod. Solid stuff every time. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Really appreciate the support. Thanks for going live. Any thoughts on Village Farms? Yeah, you bet. Thanks for joining the live stream. Let's take a look at VFF. Absolutely hammered, just like the rest of MJ. If we take a look at the high there at February 2021, it was up at around $20. It's now down 87%. So we know Tilray's down 95% from the same highs in February 2021. Could it go a little bit lower? We have support coming up at $2.07. We hit a 52-week low of $2.52. So that's the support to be watching. After 252, watch 207. And then after that, you're looking at basically a $1.18 psychological. We're not monthly oversold yet either. So, we could absolutely see more downside here. It's definitely a possibility. But weekly oversold as well. We are starting to get out of weekly oversold territory, which is good to see. We are confirming a daily uptrend as well. We're looking to confirm a daily uptrend, with the low, high, higher low, and higher high. If we can break the high here at 290, that's going to give us a higher low and a higher high, meaning a daily uptrend. Tilray just did it. You can see here, low, high, higher low, and higher high. So VFF on the verge of doing it as well. So we need to break $2.90. That's the key resistance to be watching. If we break that, we confirm a daily uptrend. What does that mean? Zoom out to the weekly and watch for the weekly bounce to get underway. At that point, we would break last week's high, meaning weekly bounce is underway, and we have really no weekly resistance until $6.55. So I think this is a great name to start scaling into. Again, not financial advice. This is just my opinion, but this is a name that I think is a great opportunity to start loading up. And again, it can always go lower. So if you're looking at, maybe investing $3,000 into this name, going long as an investment, long-term horizon, investment horizon, then, maybe you add $1,000 now, $1,000 around $250, $1,000 around $2, right? And don't beat yourself up if you don't nail the bottom, right? We don't need to nail the bottom. You're probably not going to nail the bottom. If you do, it's basically just sheer luck. And as long as I'm buying near a bottom, that's all I really care about. But in terms of the weekly chart for VFF, we are seeing a bull cross of the stochastic. The MACD is getting close to a bull cross, but we're still nowhere near closing over our 10-week moving average there at $3.33. So still a lot of work to go on the weekly time frame. We did have a bear cross as well of these weekly moving averages, which is not very good to see. Generally, you don't want to see that, especially on a weekly time frame. But on the daily time frame, let's take a look at our moving averages there. The 50-day moving average there at 350, so that's going to be another area of resistance to be watching as well. And the 10-week moving average there at 333. But again, a lack of resistance on the weekly all the way up until 655. So I would think that we could easily get back to that 50-day moving average. That'd be a nice area of resistance to be targeting on a weekly bounce getting underway around that $3.50 area. And then again, daily uptrend getting close to confirming, just like Tilray has already done. Once it confirms a daily uptrend, then we watch for the weekly bounce, and then we look for that weekly higher low. So again, maybe we see a bounce up to that 350 area that also lines up with our EMA 12, and then we pull back for a weekly higher low and higher high. What do we need to see to be confident that the MJ bear market is done and we're starting a new bull market? We need a weekly uptrend, and then we need a monthly uptrend, right? And then we need a monthly bounce to get underway, break the high of last month, form a higher low, and then a higher high. So we've got months of work to do before we even confirm a monthly uptrend. So it's going to be months before we are absolutely confident, before we can be confident at all, really, that the bear market is over and that the bull market is beginning, right, in MJ. And I've said it that many times that I think MJ is going to enter a new bull market, a multi-year bull market, once crypto and tech stocks start to top out. So once we see them top out, enter a bear market, again, MJ could, because if that happens, S&P 500 is probably going to crater. And if that happens, MJ will probably fall more. But what I think will happen is it'll bounce back quicker. It'll fall initially with the weakness in the broader market, but it'll bounce back quicker, just like today. When SPY was down 1%, Tilray was up almost 12%. So we're starting to see this inverse correlation now. And again, correlations come and go. It's not 100% believable yet, but it's something, it's notable, right? Something that I'm paying attention to. But hopefully that helps on VFF. I'll just take another quick peek here, see if there's anything else I can see. Hourly time frame, we're not hourly overbought yet either, so it looks like we could potentially, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a bit of a gap up tomorrow based on how beaten down we were today. And the size of the bounce there on Verano, size of the bounce today on Tilray. If we get any green too in SPY tomorrow, that's going to be good. It's going to be a nice setup. And then, like I said, all about 382.25 on SPY. We break that, could easily see a 3 to 6% move on the S&P 500 and see those gap fills, and that'd be good for MJ. Hopefully that helps with regards to VFF. And again, if you let me know too, if you're looking at adding, if you're looking at trimming or selling or adding or going long, short, what your option or what you're looking at doing, that can give me more insight and tailor the response a little bit better. But if you want my unbiased opinion, I can do that as well. Okay, you did respond. I'm going to buy more Tilray soon. Yeah, Tilray, just don't be like the people back here, right? When we had this huge weekly bounce of almost 100%, we jumped over 80% in a couple weeks on Tilray. People were starting to FOMO in and buy it here. I said, don't buy it. Don't buy the FOMO because, but again, I'm not telling you to buy, sell, or hold. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. But, I said, I'm not buying the FOMO. I don't think others should either. But again, it's not financial advice. And the reason why is because buying because of FOMO is generally never a good thing. And we still didn't confirm a weekly uptrend. So we jumped 80%. I know a lot of people started to buy it here, and then look what happened. It dropped another 64%, right? So if you bought here $1,000, you'd be down, $600 or so. So it's just starting the weekly bounce now. So if you're looking to add Tilray, we're in a weekly uptrend. If you're more conservative, maybe you wait for the weekly bounce to top out and you add on a weekly higher low. If you're a little bit more conservative, if you're really conservative, you're waiting for a monthly higher low and higher high. But again, by the time we confirm a monthly uptrend, we could be back into the $10 area or $10 to $20 area on a monthly uptrend confirming, right? So are you okay with waiting that high, right? I personally am not. I'd rather buy near the bottom. I don't have to time the bottom. It's all money that I'm willing to let sit, and I've purposely been holding 50% cash, my net worth in cash for a reason, shorting the S&P 500 as a hedge because I was worried that if the S&P 500 fell, that was going to create headwinds in MJ, and MJ wasn't set up well at all. And I took the profits from that SPY short. And when SPY was going down, I was making money on that short. And then I rotated it into even more beaten down MJ because MJ fell as a result. And I was able to take those profits and buy more cheap MJ. And then I also kept cash on the side. And MJ is one of my smallest positions in my portfolio. But it's likely going to be my biggest here over the next quarter or two. I'm likely going to be transitioning into MJ will be my biggest position long. But yeah, Tilray, great idea to start adding in my opinion. We are hourly overbought, and we don't really have, like I said earlier, no support until 315. So maybe you want to add on an hourly higher low if you're a little bit less conservative and more aggressive. Maybe look to add around the 340s, 330s and that's in USD NASDAQ chart. But I think Tilray is a great long-term hold. Like I said, I've been focusing on Tilray and MSOS, the ETF, the most, adding that to my MJ portfolio, just adding to those positions. I already owned them before. I'm just adding. Those are the two I'm focusing on right now. He will need to buy Google to be able to buy YouTube. I don't think he can afford that. Yeah, probably not. Never know, though. You say the Toots were the ones buying... Toots were buying Tilray, but the daily volume was below average. Oh, the institutions. Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't huge volume, but I mean, I don't think it moved. Like we saw Tilray move before the news even really came out, before retail even knew about it. It had already been moving, right? And usually, show me the chart, I'll tell you the news. Usually we see it in the chart first before the news comes out. But yeah, the reason why I know it wasn't retail is because most retail isn't even paying attention right now. And kudos to you for being on the live stream, anybody who's on here, because you are paying attention, and now is the most important part to be paying attention, in my opinion. And yeah, we just know everybody and their dog is bearish on, like, if you look at retail, what's retail saying? Sell LPs, buy MSOs, right? I even had someone say that to me today, like, did you sell your LPs yet to buy beaten down MSOs? And I'm like, no, not really. I've been adding both, but I'm still focusing on more on LPs at the moment because they're beaten down more, and this because of things like that, right? And this isn't new. This has been known for years, and like, it's not just me saying this. Like, many experts say that. Like, it's very obvious, and it just comes with experience. Once you get 5, 10, 15 years, like myself or other experts, it takes 10,000 hours to be as expert at anything. And once you do something for 5, 10, going on, I've been investing for over, I've been trading for a few years, investing for about 5 to 10 years, and just dealing in financial markets now for about 15 years. So you really learn a lot just monitoring, and I watch everything, right? I watch tech sectors, I watch electric vehicle, I watch crypto, I watch the broader market, I watch the dollar, I watch currencies, I watch MJ, I watch the mushroom sector, I watch 3D printing, all this stuff, electric vehicle sector, right? All that, commodities, and you just see that market cycles are market cycles. It's just all this is these charts are human emotion, right? And human emotion doesn't change sector to sector or asset class to asset class, right? It's all the same. But yeah, the volume wasn't huge, but it definitely wasn't retail buying it, I'll tell you that much. No way. Retail will be buying it when it hits $5 and $10 again, and then it'll top out. They'll sell the bottom on a healthy higher low on the daily and weekly time frame. But yeah, retail doesn't buy the bottom, they buy the top, right? Buy the top, sell the bottom. Winning strategy. Well, it sounds easy, right? Buy low, sell high, but then you get all these FUD articles and, fear, uncertainty, doubt. And then you get FOMO articles when things are going up. They're FOMOing in saying, oh, things are going to 100. And you're like, I'm not selling, we're going to 100. And then Tilray was at $67. You say, oh, I'll sell it at $100. And then Tilray dropped from $67 a year and a half ago to $3. And you're like, damn, why didn't I sell? Well, it's because all the news articles were trying to pump you up full of FOMO and telling you it's going to $100. They even said Hexo was going to $100 when it was at $10 in January of 2021. I remember a Motley Fool article, and it was even justifying how it could go to $400 at a 52-week high. But now at 52-week lows, it's all bankruptcy and FUD, right? Same with Tilray, They're doing price cuts on all these LPs and things like that near the 52-week and all-time lows. Why weren't you doing price cuts when we wanted to know about it, which was at 52-week highs, right? When they should have been doing it, right? Because the markets are manipulated. And I basically don't even watch mainstream news. I watch it just because I want to get an idea of what they want the herd to believe. And I'm very much a contrarian. So generally when mainstream media is pushing a certain narrative, I'm looking to do the opposite. Not all the time, but that's my go-to, right? That's my default. because if mainstream media is curating news and feeding it to the masses, and someone reads Yahoo Finance article or BNN Bloomberg article and they take it to heart, well, don't you know that mainstream media wants you to lose? There's a reason why there's a do the opposite of Jim Cramer, right? When he goes on CNBC and Squawk Box and stuff, Mad Money, if you do the opposite of what he does, generally you'll be more successful, right? And that just tells you that mainstream media wants you to lose because they're buying when you're selling, and they're selling when you should be buying, right? Or I might have mixed that up, but you know what I mean. I haven't seen any news on Tilray Hexo deal. They said in the next few weeks, like 2 months ago. No, they amended it. I did videos on that too. Tilray Hexo agreement amended. So it was due to close in May, and then Tilray amended it, wanted the amendments done, and then it's now set to close in July. So July 15th is the target now. But yeah, I already did a video on that. They told us. They already told us. Will they get cash from Zenabis asset? Well, no, because they have debt owed and they're filing for creditor protection. So that'll cover whatever debt, right? But they'll save money. They'll save on costs and stuff. Hexo paid so much to Zenabis when they acquired them, 200 million plus. So what does Hexo get from that deal? Well, they essentially don't need it anymore, right? They've got Tilray and they've signed a deal. Again, watch this video, the amendment agreement. They're not allowed, like the agreement says that Hexo has to source products from Tilray for international, so excluding Canada and US. So even if Hexo wanted, based on this agreement, if Hexo keeps a Malta facility in Zenabis facility in Malta in the EU, they can't if they wanted to now, right? Because they have to source products from Tilray. But the good news is Tilray and Hexo are going to save about 80 million in synergies and cost savings by working together in this financial and commercial partnership. So not only is Hexo going to save money on closing those Zenabis facilities, they also acquired Redecan after Zenabis. So they got a bunch of other facilities, which they're moving a lot of their facilities now over to Redecans because Redecan had huge facilities and good products and process. So that's why, because they bought Zenabis first, right? They didn't know they were going to buy Redecan when they bought Zenabis, and they didn't know they were going to partner with Tilray. So things change, and it's just not needed, right? And you can say they paid so much, like that's all relative, right? In 5-10 years, when these companies are worth $100 billion market caps, it's not going to really look like a whole lot, right? It looks like a lot now, but it actually wasn't that much. We can compare it to other deals, right? The premium is around the same. So it's usually like a 20% premium or so. So personally, in my opinion, I don't think they overpaid. It was pretty much on par with all the other acquisitions. A lot of people say Canopy overpaid for Supreme Fire. Ticker symbol used to be Fire. But I do agree with that, and I think Canopy overpaid for that one. But yeah, hindsight's 2020. Hexo probably wishes they didn't do the Zenabis deal now. But they did get to collect their brands and IP and intellectual property, right? So it wasn't all for nothing, and things change, right? And they'll save on costs, not just by closing Zenabis facilities, but also with the synergies and cost savings with Tilray deal, and they'll source products from Tilray for international markets. So Zenabis just really isn't needed. SNDL trying to buy Zenabis again. So essentially they're making a bid for their assets, and Zenabis was already involved with Sundial and in the crosshairs of Hexo and everything whenever they were doing the acquisitions and buying debt and things like that. They tried hostile takeovers in the past of Zenabis and maybe even tried to do Hexo as well. I think Hexo issued a poison pill. So that poison pill was in form of convertible notes, and that potentially scared off. I mean, they had a market cap of like 120 million here not too long ago, and they still avoided a hostile takeover. So I would say that the poison pill was executed successfully, and they managed to stay independent. They even declined an offer from Tilray back in November for $2 or $3 a share, right? So again, Hexo's trying everything in their power to stay independent. And Tilray even said 3 or 4 times now that it's important Hexo remain a standalone company, an independent company. And if safe banking and stuff like that happens and we see Tilray start to focus on MedMen, and expand into the U.S. and become more of an MSO, well, that means that Hexo is probably going to take a back seat. Maybe they're just sit on their hands. They said they're in a good position to do nothing, collect interest, or later on convert into equity and look at merging the companies together, right? But again, if they're going to be focusing on the U.S. and MedMen, that could be years before Hexo and Tilray merge, if they merge. I personally still don't think they will. Hexo's been fighting this hard to stay independent, and they've succeeded. And we know that Apple got saved by bankruptcy from Microsoft in 1997, and they're both independent. And even if they want to merge, there's no guarantee that they'll be able to, right? It has to go through regulatory approvals and things like that from the government, and antitrust laws and anti-compete laws and things like that. So competition laws. So even if they wanted to merge, like right now, their market cap combined would be about 20% of the Canadian market. That might not be a huge monopoly or an issue, but we don't know when they're going to merge. What happens if a lot of the smaller LPs die down because of the recession, because there's over 800 licensed producers in Canada, probably not sustainable, and Hexo and Tilray are partnering up. We essentially now have Hexo, Tilray, Aphria, and Redecan all in one umbrella. Like they're all on team tier one. Like they're all on team Hexo essentially. So imagine what's like the tier ones are just going to completely annihilate the micro caps. I think a lot of micro caps are going to go obsolete. They're going to just die off, or they're going to pivot their business to a different model or sector, kind of like what Neptune Wellness just did. And they're getting in at MJ completely and pivoting their business model, right? They might even rebrand underneath a different name. And then I think the tier ones are going to gain market share back, and then especially leading into a recession, people are going to be wanting spending $200 an ounce for craft when they can barely afford this insanely high gas prices, right, or cost of living and food prices, right? So they might opt for the cheaper, good quality, right? Hexo and Tilray have great products, great quality, and great prices, right? Not the best quality, but as we know, Budweiser doesn't make the best beer, but they make the most money, right? So I think that that's going to play a big factor. And yeah, them all working together is great to see. So I think that I think whether or not Sundial, I really don't care. Sundial, if they buy Zenabis assets, it's not really going to change anything. Like they would just be buying like facilities and equipment and stuff like that, right? But Hexo like already just released Ultra Sour, so like that came from Zenabis. So all that as far as I'm aware, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a lawyer or an expert in legal issues and things like that, and mergers and acquisitions and creditor protection, but that's how I understood it. But Sundial has until they actually have a meeting scheduled for July to get a proposed reverse split, which looks like it's basically going to happen because they've already got their extension and they have until August to regain compliance. So it's looking like they're probably not going to get over $1 and stay 10 consecutive trading days over $1. So it's looking like a reverse split is in the cards for Sundial. I can't see them delisting from the NASDAQ. So I would say they're likely going to do a reverse split. We also have earnings coming up on August 18th, tentative date. We want to see official confirmation from the company, but that could line up as well, where we see that reverse split take place into that part of the month. Oh, I've been lowering my average in Tilray for a while now. Got it down to $8. I understand what you mean. I can't time it. It's a bad idea. My goal is to get my average down to $5. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if your average is $8, why would you sell at $3 and be like, okay, I'll try and buy it at $2, and then it shoots up, to like $7 in a hurry, and you're like, damn, that was, why did I try to like the time to get out of Tilray and buy lower, like reload cheaper. So essentially sell some of your position and then reload cheaper. I think that time has come and gone, right? When we're down 95% in a year and a half, I would say you're better off to just dollar cost average. That's what I'm doing anyway. Not telling you to buy, sell, or hold, but yeah. Time in the market is better than timing the market right now in MJ or any market that's near a bottom, a bear market bottom, right? If something's down 95% in a year and a half or 98% from the all-time highs, and we're nearing a bear market end and we're going to start a new bull market soon, then I'm going to pick time in the market over timing the market every day of the week, right? I've been in both VFF and Tilray when I was originally in Aphria, APHA prior to the conversion for over 2 years now. Saw the up high, then the downside. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing too, is we weren't in a true bull market back then because Aphria and a couple other names were the only ones hitting all-time highs. In a true bull market, we will see MJ companies in Canada, US, retailers, and ETFs. So again, what I said earlier in the stream was HMMJ didn't hit a new all-time high in February 2021. That was a clue. That was a clue that we started to see this huge reversal, and this was just a massive bull trap. Everybody thought, oh, we're confirming monthly uptrends, the first time since the bear market began, and it ended up being a huge bull trap, right? And just faded it all back and then some. So I think in the next bull market, which I think is a good chance of happening over the next 2 years, over the course, I think it's going to start sometime into the fall, and then it's going to last 1 to 2 years, the bull market. And I think in the next bull market, the true bull market, not just Aphria, not just 1 or 2 or 5 names, we're going to see 80 to 90% of all MJ will be hitting new all-time highs and price discovery. Because think about some of these names when safe banking and full-blown legalization happens. It's going to help the LPs as well. A lot of people are like, well, how come you're so bullish on LPs? Well, keep in mind, CGC has a deal to acquire Acreage. Tilray has a deal to acquire MedMen. So why aren't you bullish on MSOs, Rod? I am, but I'm more bullish on LPs because they have access to the NYSE and the NASDAQ and capital, right? And liquidity and huge institutional money. But also LPs are going to turn into MSOs. That's what people aren't understanding is Tilray is going to buy MedBen and CGC is going to buy Acreage, right? So essentially LPs are going to morph into a hybrid of LPs and MSOs. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And we got another spam bot in again. Yeah, it's just the channel is getting a little bit bigger, so I've been noticing a lot more bots lately. And you kind of just like look at your numbers and target you from that way, I guess. But yeah, APHA was a rough ride, and Tilray was a rough ride too, man. Like, I mean, $67 to $3 in a year and a half, that's crazy. Great point about the institutions moving early. Yep, you bet. Oh, I missed it. My bad. Oh, all good. And now we got a bunch of spam bots. Here goes another bot, I guess. Yeah, that's annoying. I'll try to ban them from the chat again and report it to YouTube. That's the first one. I'm pretty pleasantly surprised that it took this long to get a bot into the live stream. Tilray headquarters are located squarely in Midtown Eastside, New York City. Yeah, like New York set to legalize rec sales set to go live into the fall. So a Canadian company is already in the States. Yeah, exactly. And they're looking to acquire MedMen. They're already selling their alcohol beer, the 420, into the States. Like I was in Florida with my parents in January and went to a pub and ordered Tilray's Sweetwater Brewing Co. So they already have products. Like that's what people don't understand. Like Tilray is selling products in the US. It's just not MJ. But once it's federally permissible, they'll have all the distribution, they'll have the brands, they'll have the network, and then all they have to do is add a little bit of cannabinoids to it, right? Problem solved. Hardest part is building a brand and getting the network and the distribution, right? And then they acquire MedMen. Like, yeah, I really feel bad because I'm bullish on MSOs too, right? People think that when I say something bad about MSOs that I'm dissing them and saying LPs are better. Like, no, get that out of your head. That's stupid. Like, I'm saying they're both good, but people aren't being realists, right? Because they're doing the whole head in the sand thing. So they're like, oh, I already written off LPs long ago, and they're quite jaded, or they probably burned, right? They're probably lost a lot of money from LPs. And now they're like, oh, I'm just going to follow the rest of the herd. I saw it on Reddit or I saw it online that LPs are garbage and the fundamentals. Most of these people don't even know what financials mean or fundamentals mean or numbers and EBITDA and profitability, right? They're just reading online on Reddit saying, oh, MSOs have the best numbers. Well, there's going to be problems, right? There's going to be huge capital expenditures when they start to expand, and the prices aren't sustainable. Like they're charging $20 a gram right now, US. That's like almost $25 Canadian, right? Like that's insane. here in Canada, like the cost per gram is like $2, right? So that's like that's a massive markup, right? So, I think the average cost per gram right now, both US and Canada, I think it was like $5 or something like that. So they're spending like $5 and they're charging $20 for it. Like, it's just highway robbery. And like, you know, if I go to the States now, I'm not going to buy that. Like, why would I do that? I'd take the time to take a break and like lower my tolerance versus going to buy from the MSOs, right? I'm not going to tour like in Canada. I got tons of people saying they're going to potentially come to Canada from the US and try all the drinks and all the great pricing and, you know, it's legal and everything, right? So they're like, maybe I'll tour Canada. So that's a lot of tourism for Canada, but I'm not going to go like even Planet 13. I went to Planet 13. They're charging like $500 an ounce, right? For stuff that I probably grew better stuff than they did, right? Like it was only 30%. I grew stuff in my basement once that was like, it came in tested. I tested at 31%, right? So like, I don't need to like go there. I'll go there. Just like I did a video on my Vegas trip and you can check that out. But, went to Planet 13, tried the Justin Bieber joints and everything. They were terrible. Like probably I could roll a better one with a blindfold on and I could grow better MJ with a blindfold on, but and the price was ridiculous. It was like $60 for like an eighth, right? Like that's just highway robbery. Anyway, I don't want to travel to the States and buy their products, right? Because it's highway robbery. They're charging way too much. I would take the opportunity to take a break, right? Health-wise and lower my tolerance, and then just come back and get an ounce from anywhere from $60 to $100. Like you can get 22% ounce here in Canada, like no problem for anywhere from like $75 to $100. And it's not, you buy what you pay what you get what you pay for. That's not what it is. It's like literally, I live here. I've been buying MJ now for almost 4 years. It's been legal. It sucked at the beginning, but it's a lot better now. Like the quality is really, really good. And the prices are even better. So again, lots of challenges ahead for MSOs, and I think they're going to go through a lot of the same issues that LPs had. It's just going to be a little bit delayed, right? Because they're not operating under a legal framework yet, and there's going to be a lot of competition from LPs turning into MSOs. Not only LPs, but just other MSOs, up and coming MSOs, competing with other MSOs, right? So there's going to be a lot of competition for sure. Do you know if there is any international competition to Tilray? Curaleaf's really looking into the international market. They're really focused on Germany, I think. International, I think Aurora, they're more into medical and stuff, but that's generally how it starts, right? So I would say Aurora. Yeah, I'd say Aurora and Curaleaf. All right, we got close to 40 people here after an hour and 18 minutes. Going to start to wrap it up. If there's any other questions in this segment of the Ask Me Anything, just let me know. I'm going to go get rid of these spam bot again. Yeah, they literally already created another account. Oh, man, that's annoying. So just hid them from the channel. Oh, cool. And it does get rid of their messages after I hide them. It just takes a second. All right. So hopefully that helps. Once again, if you're still tuning in to the live stream after almost an hour and a half, you're an absolute boss. And like I said, now's the time where we want to be paying the most attention when we're starting to see some actual bipartisan support. Amazon, Apple backing these bills and legalization and safe banking, all that stuff. Like this time is definitely different, right? And now's the time to be paying attention. But as we know, retail won't be bullish until things run 50 or 100%. And then they'll be wanting to know when's a good time to buy, right? That's why I was so confident in saying like Tilray today, there's no way retail was buying this today. You don't shoot up 12%. And while the broader market was still kind of relatively weak, and USMJ dropping as well, right? I'm fairly confident in saying that it was definitely institutional, if not majority, and looking for potential upside into tomorrow. Really, really like it if we could see SPY fill those gaps in the chart, start to gain back some positive momentum, and then look to see a gap up across specifically our LPs. Maybe not so much USMJ. USMJ isn't really set up for a gap up because of how weak we closed, but because of how strong we closed on LPs, specifically Tilray as well at the high of the day, wouldn't be very hard to see a gap up tomorrow. We'll see how we open in the pre-market as well. If you were to pick your fave MSO, who would you pick? Gun to the head. Favorite MSO? Hard to say. Like I said, I just don't know how these MSOs are going to compete with LPs when LPs morph into MSOs, because we know Cannabis is going to acquire acreage upon full-blown legalization and all these new safe banking laws and things like that. And then Tilray MedMen, and then what happens if another LP buys another MSO or something like that? That could happen as well. We could even see an MSO merge with an LP, right? That'd be cool. Maybe like a Trulieve merges with like a Canopy or something, or we know Canopy's going after acreage, so maybe not Canopy. You know, it could happen. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing ideas out there, but that could happen. We could see more competition from MSOs in the US, right? Taking market share from the tier 1 MSOs, so the up and coming. And then what else could we see? Oh yeah, CapEx, so huge capital expenditures and stuff as they start to expand state by state. We know a lot of MSOs don't really, they've kind of just been going state by state, and they don't have full nation distribution yet, right? So that's going to take a huge amount of capital expenditures, which is going to hurt their bottom line and hurt their numbers. We know that a lot of them are going through acquisitions and things like that, so it's going to take some time to sort that out. Yeah, we know some brokerages are still limiting their access to purchasing these. So once safe banking and everything, that'll be problem solved. If I had to pick one, gun to the head, it'd probably be Curaleaf. Just based on where we are price-wise, fundamentally speaking, and just overall conviction in the company. I think Curaleaf is one of the leaders. I really like CL. Trulieve, but Trulieve I think could see a little bit more downside. Like I said, that weekly bear flag of $13, maybe even I could even see a back test of $10. But also a little sketched with Kim Rivers' RICO case on there. I think her husband went to jail and like ties to the mob and stuff like that. Like I know it said that it's like not attributed to Trulieve in any way, but again, it's just I got Trulieve in MSOS, the ETF, so that's my biggest US MJ position at the moment. But gun to the head, Curaleaf would be my number one pick. I really like CL, especially after that Columbia Care acquisition, and just look where we are. Like CL all-time low there, or the next support there at 281, and we're getting pretty close to that. So I think this is another name that's going to be a huge player. I would say top 5 player in the US. So that's another one I really like. But my biggest MJ holding is MSOS, just because I don't know. And even if we go back to all-time highs from here, that's like a 400% move, so 4x, right? And I'm just not 100% sure how this is going to, with the increased competition from MSOs, LPs, CapEx requirements to expand nationally and internationally. Prices not being sustainable and competition from the black market. But not only that, prices starting to drop. That's going to affect their bottom line, right, and their profit and their margins. They can't keep charging $20 a gram forever. So I think it's less risky for me to just invest in MSOS, the ETF, which is a basket of all the major MSOs, right? So I own Curaleaf as well individually. I own some CL. I own some BAM as well individually. Because I think BAM has a huge potential. Like imagine if this thing uploads to the NASDAQ or the NYSE, just from the current lows to all-time highs, that's a 25x move. So $1,000 investment into $25,000. I'll easily put $1,000 into this name and just either ride it to zero, which I don't think is going to happen, or I'll just let it sit and wait until we see uplisting, and then look to sell into all-time highs, right? I could easily put $1,000 in and sleep at night and not care, right? Like I'm not throwing it away. I'm not being irresponsible. I've done my research. I'm very convinced on BAM, and it's a low cap, right? But it's high risk, high reward. So I'm not putting my life savings into this thing, or I'm not putting $5,000 or something that I'm not willing to lose. But $1,000 into this name, yeah, absolutely. I might even put $2,000. And I'm not expecting this thing to go to zero, but I'm not going to sell it, right? I'll just add more if we drop below. But I think the risk to reward there is really good. And we're at an all-time low, right? Versus someone like TrueLeaf that's still up from March 2020 lows at $8. TrueLeaf still up at current levels, still up over 100%, right? Whereas BAM's an all-time low. But yeah, my biggest USMJ position is MSOS. I also did a video on my top 5 holdings. So you can just go here and search, and you see my top 5 holdings. I did add High Tide, the retailer, to that as well. And I might have added CWeb. I like CWeb as well. CWeb's another great pick in my opinion. 58 cents currently. We hit a low of 50 cents. And this thing was at, I think it was at $30. Yeah, $35. $33.77 was the all-time high. So just back to all-time highs, that's 57x. $1,000 in a CWeb could turn into $50,000 if we just go back to the all-time high. Past performance isn't indicative of future performance, but if we were once there before, why couldn't we go there again, right? So again, this is another one of those names where I'll easily put about $1,000 into it, and it's an investment. I don't sell it because market conditions changed, or there's a shakeup in the company, or they got a new CFO. Like, no, I put $1,000 into this. I did my research. An investment is an investment. Like if you take a look at like Mark Cuban and other billionaires, when he invests into a company, he does his due diligence, his research, and like months and months of research, or weeks and weeks. And once he's comfortable enough, he invests. He doesn't sell it if this happens, or if we go into a bear market, or SPY enters a monthly downtrend. He doesn't do that. He says, okay, I'm going to put $100,000 into this thing. It's either going boom or bust. So I'll either sell it at 10 million or I'll ride it to zero. And he's done that many times. He's ridden many. He actually just happened to him recently with a crypto company, where it completely went to zero. But essentially, he wins more than he loses, and he doesn't sell based on emotion, right? Or market cycles, right? He knows that he's not a wizard. He can't time the bottom, but he wins more than he loses, right? And he knows how much he's going to lose. If I put in $100,000, the most I can lose is $100,000. His net worth is $10 billion or whatever it is. I don't know, but probably in the billions. We know he's a billionaire. Must be in the billions. And yeah, let's say his net worth is $10 billion. He puts $100,000 into a venture capital firm or venture, then he doesn't care. That's like chump change to him. But that 10 million could go into that 100,000 could go into 10 million or 100 million if he hits the right one, right? And his downside is limited. He's only risking 100,000, but his upside is unlimited, right? The potential is unlimited. So risk $100,000 to make anywhere from 10 million to 100 million to maybe even $1 billion, right? He's a billionaire. He's done it before. So that's the mindset I take with MJ at the moment. And I just buy, even if there's blood in the streets, even if the blood is your own, right? Buy when there's fear, sell when there's greed. And with MJ, the biggest catalyst of her lifetime that'll only ever happen once, US MJ legalization. No, I'm not selling the bottom. I'm going to dollar cost average. I'm going to add near the bottom. I don't need to time the bottom. I don't care. I know that MJ is being manipulated just like it always has been. And that is very evident when you have names like TrueLeaf and GTII and Canara and High Tide with phenomenal numbers and 12 consecutive quarters of positive EBITDA or something like that, right? It's just insanely bullish numbers, and they should be way higher valuations, but they're not because fundamentals don't matter. We're in a bear market, right? So. Oh, bot's back again. All right, kind of wrap it up. We got about an hour and a half here. I see we're pretty much ending here on the questions as well. But yeah, that would be my long answer there. Oh, I bought 2,000 shares of Hexo today. Nice. Going to be a wild west of M&A, yeah, mergers and acquisitions. That's a fair answer. Thank you. You're welcome. Terry Boos Oza will be interesting play on MJ with Alps, greenhouses, and tech non-debt approach to MSO. Yeah, I just have no confidence in Terry Booth or anything he's touching, but don't wish anything bad on them. That's for sure. Hopefully they have lots of success in the future. Oof, yeah, CL, I might load that back up. Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity long term personally. Thank you for elaborating. You're welcome. Thanks for joining the stream. Thanks for your comment. And thanks everybody else for joining the stream and your comments as well. going to end it there. Looks like we have caught up in all the messages except for the bot here. I'll just ban them pretty much over for the end of the stream anyway. But wow, they're really getting vulgar here with the usernames. Oh well, never a dull moment. At least keeps things entertaining. But going to end it there. Thanks again, guys, and gals, for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. It's Rod with Pow Group, and we'll come on for another. I was going to do maybe another video later on today. I do have a meeting with my realtor here in an hour, looking at potentially buying another condo downtown Edmonton as an investment property. May even do an Airbnb. So I got some condo viewings this weekend lined up as well. So that could, just kind of bump my schedule a little bit. But I'll probably be back to some more regular live streams and videos. That's for sure. But I'll be doing some more videos tomorrow as well. So you can expect some more updates tomorrow. Thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it as always. You're welcome. Thanks for taking the time to come on and participate. I really appreciate it. Always have a blast here, and look forward to the next video. And speaking of which, if you smash the like one more time, help support me in the channel, I'd appreciate it. And if you subscribe and tick the bell, you'll be notified the next time that I go live. All right, going to end it there. Have a great night. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth, and we'll see you in the next video.